Joining fields, taking over. No one can deny we're queens in our own rights. Got our fleet, we're ruling the game. Turning heads, yeah, we're making our own name. Living free, we're breaking the mold. Unapologetic, we're standing bold. Every picture we post, it's a story untold. We're inspiring souls, watch us unfold. Watch us unfold.
Welcome back to Rooted in Your Confidence, the podcast where we have real grounded conversations with women who've had to fight to be seen, whether they were the only woman in the room, the first to speak up, or the one holding it all together when no one else understood the weight they carried. Today, we have Pamela Dale, also known as the client coach. She's a client expert, digital marketer, and recurring revenue strategist who helps women stop playing small and start building businesses that reflect who they are, not who they've been told to be. Pamela is the creator of Six Code Framework, the author of Cracking the Client Code, and a fierce advocate for women's economic independence. But she didn't start here. Her story also includes burnout, being overlooked, undercharging, and being trapped in environments where she didn't feel seen, heard, and valued. This conversation is for everyone who knows she's brilliant, but has been in the rooms where the brilliance was questioned, ignored, or dismissed. Let's get into it. Hey, Pam, how are you?
Samantha, I'm excited about the conversation. Thank you for the platform, all the women listening. It's time, isn't it, to really have and dig into this conversation. It's going to be exciting.
I'm excited to have you here. If you want to, I would love for you to tell the audience all about you, what you do, and how you were in these environments.
Well, it's so funny, isn't it? I grew up on a farm, so it was just male-dominated anyway. So I kind of picked up this tomboyish thing. I always preferred to hang out with the guys. The guys were talking business, and I always thought that was kind of fun, right? So I ended up in sales teams, and I ended up in tech, and I ended up in those rooms where it was a lot more male dominated than its, other areas, just say, for example. So I decided a while ago that I wanted to build a business and understand how it is I could financially support myself and my family and fulfill on my dreams. And I noticed in the marketing world as well, I was stepping into the same thing. There's this bravado, there's this there's this way that they would do things that it just didn't quite fit with me. And then it felt like, well, since I can't do that, then maybe I don't belong here. And that is just absolutely not the truth. But it's been that walk of who am I? What is it that I really want to do? And how can I make that work so it's authentic to me and find my place in it without removing the essentials of business and life, right? The men do those well as well. But it's just I needed to do it my way. And that was the journey and still is the journey, I think.
I get it. I see it because I know exactly what you mean. I mean, for me, finding the way to make it work for you, to make it stand out, and you can be the best version of yourself. So let me ask you, what I know for me, I had frustrations and I had concerns being in those environments, especially when you look at these men and the things that we're concerned about, but they push through it. Could you tell me about them?
Goodness gracious. I work with men and I work with women, and it is as different as night and day sometimes. The belief system, like I always say, if I could just have half of the confidence of an old white man, I would just be a multimillionaire. Like they just seem to have it inherently in them, something that I just couldn't quite put my finger on. Like, where did it come from? How do you not question the very things that I question and every other woman questions? And that's my value. That's what I'm doing. Am I, simplest thing, like, am I strong enough to do that? Like to physically lift anything up? Never mind, in all of the other areas. Am I smart enough? Because I was bred to be a farmer's wife. 1966 in rural Saskatchewan, Canada. What else was I going to do with my life, right?
Right.
So I had all of that underneath it too. But it was so interesting to watch men, the way that they just accept things so much quicker and easier. And I think it's because it's in their DNA. You
I,
and I were raised with that knowledge. I remember my parents, when we would have these Christmas gatherings and we'd have all these gatherings, guess what? The women stayed in the kitchen and the men went to the living room.
that's right.
And they had different conversations than we had.
Isn't that incredible? Amazing, like that we can now look back and see that we were excluded from those conversations that would have made us stronger coming up, being reared. And they automatically assumed how we should be as young women going into, women, just a more mature woman, that this was automatically inherited and embedded in us, that this is where we belong, and we bought into that as women. I think that is just insane that it was that way, but we were conditioned.
And if you did end up in the living room, well, don't you have something else to do?
Exactly.
Right? You weren't welcomed.
At
Or
all.
my opinion was that, so I would just sit quietly. But if I had questions, I was just a child or a younger adult. It wasn't something that was being entertained. I didn't know, she's a girl kind of idea, but more so she doesn't have the experience, or she doesn't know what we're talking about, or it's adult things, or, those sorts of stuff. So we were left out of a lot of those rooms and a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
So starting fresh to learn about money and sales and business, we don't have it from our ancestors, right? Like we do as a woman. We know how to, the mother instinct, all those things like those, we got those in spades, right? But the other side is not there. So we have to understand that and then develop the skills.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing that you have developed the skills because, like you said, not being reared to believe that you were supposed to be in those rooms, that you were supposed to have those conversations. I remember inherently from it coming up, so a child should be seen and not heard. A child, you know what I'm saying? What you doing in grown folks' business? So I was made to feel small. Even though I was a child, I was made to feel even smaller, like I didn't belong there. It was that unspoken rules that were expectations that we felt and that we grew into even as women. So we never really stepped into ourselves fully into that space of being part of a room. And for you to have been in those rooms and to be in those places where you were the one, one of or the only woman, that in itself is a win, especially when you were never raised to be that way. Did you ever feel like you had to act a certain way to survive?
I think way before that, it was even just having the guts to walk in the rooms.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember the first time I went to a tech conference in Dallas, and there were 5 women there, and I think 3 of them were only there because there was another conference they wanted to join right after that one, right? And so there was like 3 of us in the room, the very first one they ever did, and I walked in, and I felt as odd as an oddball, and I was questioning whether or not I belonged there. Because I didn't see anyone else like me represented there, right? And there's this thing about 30% or something. I can't remember exactly the numbers, but until we have 30% of us in the same place, we don't thrive. Like it just doesn't.
Right.
So it took a lot of courage, and the courage came from if I can look at someone who looks like me, talks like me, and they're doing what I want to do, and they're making money, maybe not exactly doing what I'm doing. I thought, okay, it's possible for me. So let me go and investigate it. And I'd love to tell you I just walked in that room and it was perfect and everything was great. It wasn't. It was still a journey to, do I belong? Can I do this? Am I as smart as them? And it's taken me a lot longer than I wished it would have, but it was my journey to that worthiness of I belong in this room and I belong to charge the same. I have the right to charge the same as someone else doing the same thing as me if I provide that value, which
I think
of course
that's
we always do. But
I think being able to say that out loud is a win. Not feeling that we brought enough value because we didn't have that person in the room with us. I know for me, I didn't. I was one person, and then I'm a Black woman, and that in itself is a lot. And being around men, so representation I didn't have. I was my own representation, and being able to tap into who I was and who, and still show up. So for you to be able to even mention that right now, and that's such an honest thing to say, because sometimes we push past that. And like you said, if you don't have that 30%, who are you actually looking at? You have to look within. And how does looking within motivate you. You know what I mean? Like, in all honesty, it took a lot of work on my part. I know I'm 53, be 54 in like 13 days. Yeah, so how do you, I know for me, it took me doing the inner work and believing in myself and loving myself differently and letting go a lot of belief systems and, that I was raised to believe in and getting rid of some of those traditions that held me back, that didn't allow me to show up and step up for me. What about you? How did that work?
I wish it was that way, but I actually took the opposite route, and that was just sheer grit and determination. I was going to learn how and I was going to get it done. And then I hit another ceiling where I couldn't get over $250,000. So I had to back up and do the work.
Okay.
I just sheer force and might, which I always used to say, if it's to be, it's up to me. And if anybody could have done it by just sheer force and might, it would have been me. Stubborn as old get up, right? But it was exhausting and I burnt out. So I had to take a step back and go, okay, people, if someone could, this is the question. If someone could step into my business right now and take it to $1 million, is that a yes or a yes? You can imagine it's a yes. Somebody could step in my business right now and take it to $1 million. So then it's not the business, it's me.
Exactly.
So then it was like, okay, so what's in the way? Well, I still had this idea of welcome to farming, hard work equals you eat. And it was so ingrained in me and feeling so guilty about just sitting back and having money roll in was very challenging for me. I'd have to say, even today, I don't know what it will look like at millions, how I'll feel. But I know that's the work right now is, am I worthy to sit in what I have created, not what I have worked for, right? What I have created, and we create value and we create money today, right? We don't work for money, we create money. So that's where I'm in that journey now is, can I create this? How am I creating this? What value am I bringing to the world, right? And of course, work is part of it, but does it have to be as hard as I've been making it? And my thought is probably not, because of the energy that I'm bringing to my business, my day. I have to now wake up into freedom already. I have to wake up excited already. Not my business is going to do that for me. I need to be excited because that's where that's going to come from moving forward. I have to flip it. So instead of this, just the drudgery of the day. Oh my God, here we go. Sit down at my desk and let's do it again. Like, no wonder the money was coming. Right? So I had to give myself grace and love to go, hey, it's okay if you don't work yourself to death.
Yeah. I mean, that right there is the key right there, knowing that we get to create it. Yeah. We have been taught, like you said, you got to work hard to get it. If you work hard, do be the best. That means you're fighting. You're always trying to get somewhere. You never believe in yourself that you're doing the best that you can, because it's always something better, something bigger. Instead of allowing yourself to embrace where you are and allow yourself to grow into that. I think that is a win for all of us as human beings, when we can just allow and be able to stand in that, you know?
Yeah, it's part of the journey. If I could have got around it, I would have.
Yeah.
But it's actually much more ease on this side. It's much easier. It's much more ease on myself and my spirit and my soul and my brain and my body and everything. So it's feeling worthy of it.
And like you said, it's easier on you. We're not always fighting and clawing at something. So to me, that can be frustrating in itself when you're always clawing and fighting to get to the top. Then you're not very comfortable. You're uncomfortable within your own body.
Right.
And so I know that in itself, becoming comfortable in your body, how would you suggest someone do that?
Well, there's this thing that I learned recently when I was talking to my coach, Brooke Castillo, and she said on one of the calls, the number one way that you're going to get where you need to go, that the way you're going to reach all of your goals is actually by feeling. And I was like, feeling? Well, and then of course, a little bit more coaching, I was thinking about my feelings. I think I'm tired. I think I'm this, but I wasn't feeling the feelings of it. So I actually have to slow down. So talks about that, things like hustle, 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 and all of this stuff. But I actually have to have space and breath room in my day and in my week so that I can settle into things and feel what's happening, good and bad. So it's about just letting that emotion come up, because I used to think, oh my God, if I start crying, I ain't going to stop, right? Like kind of thing. Like I would just be wiped out. I wouldn't be able to continue with my day because I didn't want to feel anything. So I would just sit with it. And I still do that all day now. I just sit with it. What's happening in my body? What's going on? What am I feeling? Why am I feeling that way? Or that's okay. It's going to pass. You're all right.
Isn't it
And
something?
it will just flush over and I can see the color and you can feel it, all the somatic kind of stuff that comes from it. But as a business owner, that's actually one of the biggest keys to this, is to actually feel what's going on, because we fail, we triumph, we make mistakes, we hurt somebody's feelings, we price things wrong, we put an offer out, it doesn't work. All of those things happen on a daily basis. So if I don't deal with the feelings and I'm just going from go, 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 I noticed when I used to do that, it would just like a snowball. You can see a big snowball just going, and it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And then eventually the snowball would just break, and that would be burnout, right? And then I would try to go pick up the pieces and go again, but I would pick them up from the same place versus what was really going on for me.
Wow, you're talking about burnout. Burnout is it really taps into what you allow for yourself and what you trust yourself with. Your own emotions, being able to see them and feel them and know where they are in your body and where it's coming from. So that right there, I think us not tapping into feeling, because, thoughts, feelings, yes, actions, results. So of course your results are always attached to some kind of thought that you're having, which causes those emotions. So I love that you worked on that.
Sometimes we don't even know what the thoughts are. They go through so fast, right? We don't even know what we're thinking. It's really powerful what you just mentioned about burnout, the way that you said it, because a lot of people think burnout is like from working too hard, a lot of us will call this burnout that we're experiencing, but burnout comes from being productive, actually producing something. And for me, when I would hit burnout, I was burnt out from the emotions that I was feeling up and down. Like I call it the Monday morning, Friday disaster week, right? Monday, it might work this week. And then Friday is, I'm in the same spot. What am I going to do? And it would happen over and over and over again. But I didn't realize I was actually productive. I was just doing a lot of thinking and scrambling and avoiding and all of the things that were absolutely counterintuitive to building a business. But I was exhausted. But I was really exhausted of myself. But I didn't know that, right? So we call it burnout. It's actually not burnout, because I can be incredibly productive and feel amazing at the end.
Yes.
It's a whole different game.
Yeah, because we're scratching, we're clawing, but where are we climbing to? Where are we getting to with all the scratching? So that in itself, and understanding that burnout is from actually moving and not moving your mind, moving those emotions or lack thereof, allowing those emotions to push through you. That is a wonderful way to describe it, like you being able to tap into an understanding of the difference between a thought and a feeling.
Not for the weak.
It's not. Because when we can't understand that, how can we actually know what we're feeling? Because people, especially or when we give our power to someone else, when we say they're feeling, they made me feel. Did they make you feel that way? Or a situation or a thought, we make a feeling. So understanding that is the key too. So for you to be able to tap into that and allow yourself to recognize that, I think that's part of being able to step into all the things you've done and all the things that you're doing, So I think that's
really
a wonderful thing
out there to slow down, to check your thoughts.
I know, and I wonder sometimes why, I know it's something, especially in our generation, that wasn't talked about. You didn't have time to feel. Who feels?
Shut up, get over it.
Yes, right. Keep it moving. Because I think we thought that, especially in environments that we worked in, environments that we lived in, were raised in, you would miss something or something would pass you by and you would be lost. As my mother used to say, you would be behind the 8 ball. So you didn't want to be behind the eight ball. You wanted to be in front of it all the time. That's how I see it,
Right.
you know?
Right.
I know for your business with your framework and the 6 code framework, how does that relate to you being able to help women, especially owning and not just surviving and being able to rebuild and
Well, it's something that I walked through myself, and I didn't realize what I had done until I got people call it a download or a vision or et cetera, to write a book, right? So as I was going through it, I realized that there was a 6P process that I went through. And the first one is people. The second P is product. The third P is process. The fourth P is platforms. Number 5 is partnerships. And number 6 is prosperity.
wow.
So number 1 is people for a reason. And the very first people we need to deal with is ourselves. To work with wanting to create money, create a business, you would think that prosperity would be one of the first things we talk about, or sales and calls and things like that. That's actually in code number 6. We talk about getting ourselves right first, understanding how the brain works, understanding how we think, understanding how to feel, understanding all of the reasons that we are not where we want to be. We've created ourselves a little boat. We're living in the confines of those thoughts in that boat. And we need a different, bigger boat, or maybe get out of the boat altogether. We have to change the way that we think. So it has to come down to me. And the biggest piece of it is radical responsibility. I must be 100% radically responsible for everything in my life. What happened to me when I was 5? What happened to me in traffic? Everything must come down to me, because that's the only place I have power. I cannot change what happened. I cannot change what this person's doing. I can't change the weather, but I can change how I adapt to it and what I think about it. Because that's what I want more than anything, is to take back power and control of my own life. It has been in too many other people's hands for way too long. So I choose that. And then from there, I need to determine what is it that I really think about me, about the world, about money, about business, about life, about the universe. I must tell myself the truth that I really don't think this is meant for me, or I'm not worthy. All of the phrases that come up, I must tell myself the truth that those are actually there, or I would have everything I say I want. So there's nobody putting those thoughts in my head today. I'm a 58-year-old woman. Nobody is telling me what to think. I've removed those people from my life. I now am in charge of that, so I have to understand, what is it that I believe? And beliefs are just thoughts that I've had over and over and over and over again, and our brain is just going to feed us them like a pizza, I always say, right? You calm down. It's okay. You don't actually have to build a big list to get today. Let me just give you, it's not going to work anyway. And we all have a couple of thoughts that our brain we just calm down.
Yes.
Right? We go over to social media, or I go get something to eat, or I watch Netflix, or whatever those habits are. My brain's full-on job is done. It got me to calm down.
Yes.
We own a business, so we can't calm down. We've got to be in exerting energy, and we don't have the ease of life. We've got to exert ourselves. We've got to become these engines that are pushing past this old thinking process, because the brain has two sides. It's got the past and it's got the future. And we just have to kick in to the one that isn't as loud, right? We've all got one.
Yes. I find myself being able to me, that's the part of your brain that wants to keep you safe. That's the part of your brain that wants to. That's his job. And I'm grateful for it, because that's the one that keeps you out of harm. But I also have the conversations like, thank you. I appreciate you for wanting to keep me safe. I appreciate you for wanting to protect me. But I'm okay doing something different outside of my norm because of conditioning. So I think that's beautiful. Yes, I love that. If you were to tell a woman something listening who feels stuck, what would you tell them, who's questioning if should she be doing something different, or where she's at? What would you tell her?
Oh, such a great question. So many things come up for me. Something I decided, and this is that 100% personal responsibility, radical responsibility, right? I get to think what I want to think. And I believe that because those dreams were placed on my heart, not everybody wants to go to Mexico and live here and do this and have this and build this business and help these people. That's my little golden sphere of who I am, that I believe I'm here to be. And I don't think, I just choose not to believe, that was all placed on me with absolutely no way to make it happen. It feels cruel. And I just choose, again, the belief that this is meant to be. And it's my work to become the person who is going to fulfill on that. So if a woman is sitting there with these thoughts that this is their goals and dreams, there has to be a way to get there. And then it's going to be all about, do you want to get to the end of your life with that unfulfilled?
Wow. Yeah, that
You
in
have to
itself.
push through. This is not going to be easy. But we don't have a saber-toothed tiger coming through the back gate, right? We have water, we have shelter, we have all these things. We have become a fragile lot. Because I don't want to put an offer out. I don't want to put something on social media. I don't want to show my face. I don't want to. What?
I love that. You're like, what? I love that.
Let's look at what happens if you don't. Are you willing? And this is where it is for me. Am I willing to look my husband in the eye when he gets cancer and we need this amount of money for a treatment to go here? And I'm going to say to him, you know what? I was scared of Uncle Bob in his basement in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and what he would think of me, so I'm sorry I didn't do it.
That is true.
How can I even make that make sense?
No, you're right.
I've got to go and offer. I've got an offer. I've got things that will help people, change people's lives. It's not for everyone. That's fine. Just like a waitress in the restaurant. Do you want coffee? No, thank you.
That's right. Because what are you willing to do to get where you want to be?
And if you have the dream, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But if you've got it, it's your duty, I think, for yourself to fulfill on what you're doing here, because that's the best work, the greatest work. You want to learn about self-love, self-worth, that's your step. Fulfill on what it is you're here to do.
That's right. We'll have to, your obligation that it's been placed on you is for you. And I think like anything, we all have choices.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a choice.
You have a
But
choice.
you can't be a victim to it.
No.
You can't go, oh my God, I've got all this, but I can't get there.
And
Don't.
try. I think.
Don't try.
And I know it's fear and I know it's that uncertainty, but at what point do we trust ourselves? And I think a lot of times we don't know how because of society.
Children.
Yeah.
We have birth children. The whole world has come through a woman's body. The whole world. And you're going to sit here, when I say you, I mean me, I mean we are going to sit here and go, I'm too afraid to talk to Betty about something I may have that change her life. I cannot accept it. I understand it, but I cannot accept it from myself or from anyone else.
I think that's the thing, that fear. I think doing the work like we do the work allows us to have a different mindset, but that fear could be so strong depending on, you know what I mean, the norms you were raised in, what society, the patriarchal system, all of those things have a way of controlling and keeping us from stepping out when we don't trust ourselves. And I trust come through.
In the past, that's that voice back here that's got more reps. That's it. There's another voice that we just haven't given any reps to. And it's the one you tell your best friend when she's going through trouble. You know the language, you know the wording. You just don't say it to yourself. So that's all that's wrong. This one has just gotten, it's like devil, angel, whatever wording you want to use. There are two versions of you because you can hear your own voice. So who's listening? Exactly. It's the higher you. Get out and exercise her. Talk to her. That's the difference is, yes, those things are here. And what's over here? And that's where that responsibility comes in. I don't choose to ever just let this voice run my whole life. What? Then everybody's one.
Yes, but
they
you.
kept me at bay, which is what they want to do with women. They want to keep us at bay. And I'm over here going, no, thank you.
And I think that I think it's learned and growth. Just like we were learned to do, we were taught to be, and we showed up as. And it took a lot of unlearning. I know for me it did. It took me to really tap into who and what I am and who I wanted to be, more so than what everyone else thought was the best thing for me. And I don't know. I think that's where the shift changes. when you start allowing yourself to be first on your list, when you start allowing yourself to be seen, when you will stop allowing everyone else to know what's best for you and start knowing that comes from that self-love spot instead of that self-care spot. Everyone mixes the two up. They say, oh, self-care, self-care. No, I believe in self-love first, because once you start loving yourself, you're going to care about yourself, and the willingness to show up for you, the willingness to put yourself out there. And it's not for anyone else, but for you. And that is the key. When I speak and when I say what I say, because not until we absolutely know for sure that we love ourselves, because we've been taught to love our parents, love your siblings, love your children, love your friends. And like you said, to be able to sit and have a glass of wine and talk to your friend and tell them all the things. When are you cheerleading for yourself? When are you showing up for you and cheerleading you? But we don't know how to do that because we don't even know how to love on ourselves more than we love somebody else. But then we'll lay on the cross and sacrifice ourselves and have resentment because we gave all that we had. That was exhausting.
That's preaching. I'll tell you, we've been taught as women that who we are is undervalued. What we do is not valuable. So it's very challenging for us to step out of that. Just know that the patriarchy and the society that has built would not have been able to have been built without us doing all of this work over here. You've got some very successful men, but if they had to do the same things we have to do as women in our lives and looking after 47-year-old men, right? That man would not have been able to thrive. Just know that that's the only reason he is there, is because we have done everything else. Now imagine if we take that same skill set and do it for ourselves. The world is waiting for us, but we think they're powerful. Take this away. Take all of the care and all of the emotions and all of the looking after everything and everybody else from these people and bring it over to yourself. So I call it ruthlessly prioritizing yourself.
Ooh, I love that.
We have to ruthlessly do it like everyone else. No man, when do you hear a man go, I got to cancel my meeting at work because the kid's sick at daycare? No, the woman takes the day off.
That's right. When do we prioritize what we want and what we do? That in itself, what you just said was so powerful. Oh my God, thank you so much. Listen, I could go on and on with you, Pam.
Never.
Yes, we could. But I don't want the time to get away from us, and I want you to tell my audience where they could reach you. Tell them anything you're offering, if anything. Just tell them all the things.
I've got the book. So crackingtheclientcode.com is the book. So you can sign up for the waiting list. I just got this delivered to me, and we're making a couple changes, and it'll go into a funnel here pretty quick. So crackingtheclientcode.com, and then theclientcoach.com is my site. And then you'll get on my list here. And as soon as the book's ready, you will get a copy and go from there. But that's me in a nutshell, I guess.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing where they can find you and your book, because I know that it's going to change someone's life tremendously by being able to tap into all your resources that you give them within your book and your stories. So thank you for sharing that with my audience. But before we go, I have to ask you a question, and I ask all my guests, what does it mean to you to be rooted in your confidence?
It means I trust myself.
I like that.
I do the things I say I'm going to do. That's where confidence is built from. And I can trust. I can bet on myself. And betting on myself instead of betting on the world or betting on a job or betting on a man or betting on a child or betting on my retirement or betting on my healthcare, betting on all of these things we bet on, right? Oh yeah, it's going to be there when we get, when we're ready. But I've never bet on myself because I could never trust myself, because I would say I was going to do something and I didn't do it. So now when I say I'm going to do something, I put it on the calendar and I do it. And every day I'm more confident and I trust myself more.
Wow. I love that. Betting on yourself. That is amazing. Believing in you. Well, thank you so much, Pam, for being here. This conversation right here, this is exactly why this podcast exists.
Yes.
Pam, your story isn't just about building a business, about reclaiming your voice after years of being silenced.
Right.
It's about realizing you are not crazy, you're not broken, and you don't have to stay in a place that doesn't honor you. If you're in a place right now that makes you feel small, or if you've been carrying burnout and self-doubt from years in male-dominated industries, know this, your story can shift too. You can connect with Pam at theclientcoach.com or follow her on The Client Coach to learn more about her programs, her book, and how she helps women step into their value. Until next time, keep holding your voice with care, and remember you're not alone, and be confident, capable, and true to yourself in every room you walk into.
Sis, you don't have to twist, shrink, or hide. You deserve to be seen, heard, and valued for exactly who you are. If this episode spoke to you, make sure you follow, subscribe, so you never miss the conversation. And if you're ready to take this work deeper, take my confidence quiz. The link is in the show notes. Or book a session with me to start showing up in your career and life with the confidence you deserve. Until next time, walk through the door differently, show up, show out, be you, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Strong and fierce, taking over. No one can deny we're queens in our own right. Swagger on fleek, we're ruling the game, turning heads. Yeah, we're making our own name. Living free, we're breaking the mold. Unapologetic, we're standing bold. Every picture we post, it's a story untold. We're inspired souls, watch us unfold. Watch us unfold. Capture the moment, hold it tight. Every click, every flash, we're shining so bright. Through the lens, we're showing who we truly